If we could all rise for the pledge. Councilman Abbott, we usually listen to the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, roll call.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi.
Present.
Councilman Abbott.
Here.
Councilman Cahill.
Here.
Town Attorney Genesi.
Present.
And the first item on tonight's agenda is a public hearing to consider a proposed local law number 7 of 2021 to either opt in or opt out of that portion of New York State Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, the MRTA. As Karen reminded all of you, you'll have 5 minutes to speak. And I do have a list in front of me. I know that some have come in late and your name is not on the list. We're going to call everyone in order and then I'll get to those who've not signed in afterwards, okay? Janine Sanger is first on the list. Janine? And we'll need your name and address when you get to the podium, please.
Good evening. My name is Janine Sanger. I live at 822 Tinker Tavern Road. I am the Executive Director of the Webster Health and Education Network, and the Webster Health and Education Network was established in 1995 and is a recognized leader in the advocacy and promotion of healthy, substance-free behaviors and lifestyles in the Webster community. WEN has always worked closely with the Webster Central School District, town, and community resources to support drug education and awareness initiatives. In 2018, WEN joined the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America, or CADCA. In December of 2019, we applied for and were awarded a federal grant by the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, or ONDCP, and the $625,000 grant received over 5 years will be used to involve and engage our community to empower Webster kids to grow up strong and substance-free. That is our vision, and it drives everything we do on behalf of the young people of Webster. WEN is comprised of over 65 members representing multiple sectors of our community, including business owners, school district, faith-based organizations, youth, civic and volunteer groups, media, law enforcement, healthcare providers, substance use prevention, and substance use prevention professionals. Research suggests that the longer youth wait to use drugs and/or alcohol, the less likely it is that they will become addicted later in life. Therefore, our goal as a community coalition is to collaborate with our partners to delay, decrease, and prevent substance use amongst youth. Permitting sales and consumption within our town limits will expose our youth and families to this drug on a regular basis. Webster will realize minimal financial benefit through opting in to permitting retail and consumption establishments. This sends a clear message to our youth, families, and all residents that Webster is willing to sacrifice their well-being for meager financial gain. Quite obviously, the less casual exposure that our youth have to substances, the better. WEN DFCC is thankful to have served the Webster community for the past 25 years and looks forward to positively impacting the lives of our young people for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark, I'm not going to get the last name right, so help me out, Mark.
My name is Mark Stock. I live at 731 Hillspring Terrace in Webster. I'd like to speak on a couple points. First and foremost, I want to speak on medical marijuana. I know this is opting in and this and that, but I'll get to that point. At 7 years old, my daughter was diagnosed with brain cancer, had 3 brain surgeries, was in the hospital for 6 months, and she got prescribed medical marijuana. It helped her eat, helped her gain weight. And the reason why I bring that up is I'm a combat veteran. For 4 years, I spent 1 year in Iraq. Because there's discrepancies in between state laws and federal laws, the VA health system does not agree with the use of medical marijuana. So I use medical marijuana for myself because I have torn ligaments in both my knees, nerve damage in my back, insomnia, and PTSD. It helps me sleep, helps me everything like that. Whether you opt in or not, I'm still going to be going to towns and purchasing whichever town opts in. This isn't a moral dilemma. It's a matter of if we want to make tax money on this. I will be taking my hard-earned money and going to another town if you guys opt out of this. I'm speaking on behalf of, I don't know if anybody else here is a veteran, but I will speak on behalf of majority of the veterans that I come across with that have these same issues. VA tries to prescribe me OxyContin, oxycodone, all those pills. I say no. I was getting addicted to that stuff, and so I opted out not to do that stuff because I know about medical marijuana. I choose not to get my card or anything like that because you can't. I'm a vet, so, and I have no other health care insurance or anything like that. So opting in, I think, would help benefit so many veterans. I went out on Veterans Day, and every place was packed. I don't know if you guys try to avoid that day, trying to go out to eat or not, but there's so many of us out there, and I know this would help out so many of veterans. We are going to be using it. And if you guys opt out, you could still grow in your own house. You can still carry up to 3 ounces on you. So it's not saying we're not allowing this in Webster anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. John Carrig?
John Carrig, 1155 Webster Road, Webster. I'm not a public speaker.
It's okay.
I've been in Webster longer than most people have been living here. I see in the room here. So over 81 years I've been a resident here. I've been a professional land surveyor for over 45 years, working throughout the county. I've been a health nut my whole life, trying to do the best you can with real food, no drugs, and doing the best you can. You know, keep your weight down, a bunch of other things too. I certainly, I don't have all the facts on marijuana or this cannabis thing. I certainly think that it could help some people. I think it's better off having, you go to a doctor to get a prescription than to have the whole town legal for marijuana use. I think that marijuana or drug use in a town like this, or any town, is just is too much of a problem for the kids. We're having too much of a problem with kids that don't think right, too much alcohol, smoking. What happens if they get on these drugs? It's a tough thing. I can understand a real need when you're in real pain. I can understand that. The doctor's thing is sounds good to me. I'm not sure how long you have to be in a doctor's care to get the thing prescribed. Are you there forever? Are you there for 3 months, 2 years, or what? But I mean, if it's going to help you stay sane without getting on anything else, that's probably a good idea. But I see there's no real reason to think that we want to go at option 1. I say option 2, let's not have it. If 2 or 3 years later we want to opt in, fine. But once we choose to have it in, we can't get rid of it. And I can understand why they're doing that. Once you have these stores selling a thing, you got to make a commitment to beef up your building and everything else. So I'm opting for the option 2 there, out. That's it.
Thank you very much, John. Joanne Nania?
Hi, I'm Joanne Nania, and my address is 764 Valley View Parkway. I want to just agree wholeheartedly with the presentation that this board was given by Ken Gregory at the last meeting regarding the medical marijuana, the marijuana dispensaries, and the benefit to Webster. I think that the argument about trying to keep marijuana out of Webster, away from our kids, it does not matter. Marijuana is here, marijuana is legal, and for Webster to pretend that by not having a dispensary in town that we can somehow protect our children, to me just doesn't seem realistic. It's impractical. We'll be able to drive across the bridge to Irondequoit, for that matter, if that's what you really want. I agree with Mark. Marijuana is got the potential for so much good for people that have chronic pain, even certain illnesses that are well treated by marijuana use and with much fewer side effects than some pharmaceuticals. I just think that the town should seriously consider opting in because the town needs this tax revenue. All you have to do is drive around at any one of the dozen food pantries that are in this town to see how people are struggling. And if Mr. Gregory's, estimate that 2.75% of the revenue from each sale of marijuana would go directly to the town, if that's even close to being accurate, that's a lot of money that this town government could help its citizens, its residents, by utilizing. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Ginny Contestable.
I signed in and signed the public speaking portion.
You're signed in, but not for the,
No, I'm not speaking.
okay, thank you, Ginny. I'm having a problem with this one. Sue B.
Sarah Brown, maybe? Sorry.
Sarah Brown? Okay, Sarah S.B., how's that?
We'll go with it. And I had an old boss that called me Sue for like 10 years.
Well, now that I know you're Sarah, you're Sarah.
He was sweet, so it was okay. Hi, thank you guys for opening up this moment, even though I really give you a lot of credit for the research, the studying, the reading, the listening that you've done over the past few months. And even though you've done your due diligence, you're still opening the floor. I think it's a smart move to definitely hold off on on-site consumption lounges. There's a lot of issues with that. And I think, I have concerns. I have family members. So first of all, I work for the Smoking and Health Action Coalition, which is part of the American Lung Association. And I'm also here, we partner with WEN. And having asthma, when I'm driving down the road and I can smell marijuana emanating from another car, immediately I can't catch my breath. Right now, I've already taken 2 Benadryl today because I can't figure out what's triggering my breathing. So I think it's very important to do your research. So when we talk about opting out, we're not talking about opting out forever. I think that cannabis can be very beneficial to a lot of people. I wish it were for me. I overdosed on a quarter of a gummy. I was driving the car to the vet. I thought I was fine. I had waited 3 hours, and all of a sudden I'm like, I can't drive. So I pulled over. Luckily, my husband was with me, and I'm a lightweight. I don't know what my problem is, but it actually creates more pain for me. I have back pain, and I wish it helped. So I understand, and marijuana is here, like cannabis is here. It's legal. It's just whether or not we want dispensaries here. And I think, and it's really not whether or not we want dispensaries here, it's whether we want dispensaries here first, whether we want dispensaries here now, whether we want New York State to get their act together and give you regulations before you bite the bullet and say we're in, because once you're in, you are not getting out. You are not getting out once you're in. I just want you guys to understand there is no going back. If you take your time now, look at your tobacco-free outdoor policies. Where do you allow smoking? Anywhere you allow smoking or anywhere you didn't say there's no smoking, people can vape. I don't see people walking down the street with a bottle of alcohol. You will see people walking places with marijuana out in the open, and it's going to re-normalize tobacco. It's going to re-normalize smoking. People smoking, it's okay to smoke, Mom. These people are smoking. Why can't I smoke? That's a whole other situation, but I think each town now each municipality is going to have to take time to look at your code, look at what you have. Can people drive your vehicles in your town and vape if nobody else is in the vehicle? Can people, what will be allowed and what won't, and what is New York State going to regulate, and what aren't you going to have control of? You don't even know yet. So I look at it like a house. If I were going to, and like I said, I have family members who couldn't survive, couldn't sleep without cannabis. I have a sister in California. She can't sleep without it. I have another family member who just really has depression and anxiety, and it saved him. Again, it's legal, and just the dispensaries, do we want to be the first ones? Do you guys want to be the first ones? Are you ready for the potential fallout? There will be fallout. Like you said, you've done your research. There will be issues. There will be expenses. There will be those people that don't smoke regularly right now that have no idea what their levels are. The cannabis today can be up to 99%. If you're heating it, I don't have the language, that's not my area of expertise, but you can get, and if somebody takes that unknowingly, I mean, like for me, a quarter of a gummy, I don't, and I was reading an article on one of the leaders of Rock, what is the name of the organization? Rock Normal. That person who has been a very experienced user even has her days where she smoked too much and she can't do what she was supposed to do that day. So,
Sarah, I'm going to ask you to wrap up soon.
yes,
but
I'm done,
thank you.
I'm done.
Okay.
So it's your house, and I love the diligence that you've done, and thank you for listening.
Sarah, thank you. Ken Gregory.
All right, Ken Gregory, 729 Hill Spring Terrace. Again, really appreciate you guys taking the time to understand this. I mean, you were left with a lot of unknowns at the state level. It's very easy to sit back and just say, you know what, let's let somebody else figure this out. I really appreciate that due diligence on there. A couple of points to that. Waiting to opt out means that there will be no applications, opting out means there will be no applications submitted to the state listing a retail establishment in Webster. Meaning if you do decide 2 years from now, it doesn't mean you're going to get a retail establishment. I just want to make that clear on there. To address some of the overdosing when it comes to uses of product, if you're making a cannabis product in the black market in your basement or your kitchen or your garage, there's no lab testing results. There is no idea having what's in that product, and a lot of those concerns are absolutely valid. As Tom came and toured our facility, we have a chemist right on site to be able to lab test it, show exactly how much is in that product. We then send it to a third party, which is required under the MRTA to have it tested with most products do have a QR scan code. You scan it, it says here's the exact milligram that you're taking, so there isn't an issue of you don't know what's in that product. So it actually solves those concerns. It doesn't make it worse. The American Lung Association also blamed the Valley outbreak, the pulmonary illness issues on flavored e-cigarettes, to where today both the FDA and the CDC recommend avoiding cannabis products from informal sources. Again, you have a situation where the legal, regulated, lab-tested market solves those problems. So it's actually surprising to hear you arguing against this when you think you want the products to be safe for the marketplace. In terms of permitting consumption, some of the when folks actually mentioned that as an issue, that's not even on the table. I mean, consumption is legal. I'm going to do it tonight. I'm 100% in Webster. I mean, it's legal. It's here. It's not going anywhere. The issue is going to be whether or not we receive those tax dollars. Any questions, you guys? My information's out there. Please reach out. Happy to clarify, but I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Jane Lasky.
Sorry, Patty, I signed in as well.
Okay. Kate Zopkin.
Kate Zabku, 600 Shady Glen Circle. I'd like to say so far that I like a lot of the points, both for and against opting out that have been made tonight, but a couple of points that haven't been made yet that I wanted to make. I'm in favor of opting out for right now as well, because again, there's always the option to opt in later, but a lot of the things that have not been brought up so far is driving under the influence. So far, I think that our law enforcement is really going to be at a disservice because we don't have proper breathalyzers, proper testing for people that are under the influence. We haven't figured out what a legal limit is going to be. Obviously, driving under the influence happens, especially there are bars. When we're talking about the on-site consumption lounges, we're essentially talking about bars, right? But when it comes to driving under the influence, there are legal regulations, there's breathalyzers, there's tests that have been tried and true for alcohol and other drugs when you're under the influence. With marijuana, we're not there yet. There's a lot of tests that are coming up and being tested, but we're not there yet. And I think we're putting a lot of our police officers at a disadvantage when it comes to that. So from my perspective, I'd like to see us to opt out until we have a little bit more technology in terms of keeping our entire community safe. Because the last thing I want to see is someone get into their vehicle, go to a dispensary, purchase something, use in their vehicle, and then drive, and put our entire community at risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen DeGrace? Krista Gross? Just signing in. Julie Fisher? Julie, you don't want to speak? Steve Gaudioso?
My name is Steve Gaudioso. I live at 1077 Everwild View in Webster. It was not my intent to speak here this evening. However, listening to the comments back and forth, I believe that we are in a situation of uncertainty. And a lot of that has to do with the lack of guidance from New York State. We also are missing a lot of data around things like consumption and driving. And I believe it's in our best interest to wait until we have better information. So I would prefer to opt out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. I'm at the end of the list that I have. I know some people came in late. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Please step up to the podium and give your name and address.
Hi, thank you. My name is Glenna Colapretti. I live at 440 Sundance Trail. I did not intend to speak, but as the gentleman just iterated, listening to the back and forth, I feel compelled to share my knowledge and limited expertise in this space. I am a current licensed New York State hemp grower and have been for years. I have grown in Lima, Penfield, and Central New York. I also own 2 CBD stores, retail locations. All of those are cannabis ventures. I have worked with thousands of people with pain, inflammation from 1 year old to 102. I personally do not imbibe with THC. I'm just super sensitive to it. I would probably have the same experience that you did, albeit I do support people's choice to do that in a safe manner. I do support it to be for people over 21. I have an 18-year-old who's in college and a 20-year-old in college, and I would not want them participating or driving, or my husband driving under influence. But I also would rather opt out, frankly, of opioid use, which I think has been much more devastating as a wider adage to, if you ever look at Monroe County FireWire and you look at the number of ODs, so if you look at the pharmacies that are in our locale, I love Walgreens, but I wish that they would opt out of opioid use as well. So I just wanted to add that. I'm also an adjunct professor at a college, and I teach regulations in cannabis cultivation. I firmly believe in compliance. I work with the towns that I grow in. I participate in third-party testing. I test every crop. I make sure it is not over the legal limit. I do an overabundance of third-party testing to any and all of my products. I have a wide array of products, whether it's topical, whether it is tinctures, whether it's beauty cream, eye cream, face cream. All of those are cannabis products, to be clear. It's one plant. It is a difference between a certain percentage of THC. I do believe that as residents, you have the right to your opinion, but fiscally, if you do opt out, you will miss out. Most definitively probably on those initial licenses for participation in this space. Once people deem that they want to open up a dispensary, they will go to a town that has opted in and supportive of that. And if I may, I would just like to read a few aspects of some research. And feel free to, cut me off whenever you deem necessary.
Got about a minute and a half.
But there is a 4% local tax that is split with 25% going to the county, 75% going to the locality. The MRTA enacts a 9% state excise tax on that retail sale, with 40% of those proceeds going to social equity programs, just like the ones that you guys lead. Again, it's for people over 21. It is an adult consumption, an adult sale. There will be a strict requirement by the state. I'm also on the committees for New York State cannabis growers, and we work with a lot of legislators. I've met with a lot of legislatures locally and our state senators We fully intend to support that. I, in turn, intend to grow cannabis, but only work with people that comply and do not increase the sale of drugs to kids. Another aspect that I wanted to address was that legal cannabis does not make it more likely that minors will imbibe. JAMA Pediatrics did a study that showed that legalized recreational cannabis was associated with 8% decline in teens. If they are going to imbibe, they will drive to the other town. They will call for a delivery. You cannot opt out of growing it or delivering it, just to be clear. There's also a great CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance System study that showed that legalization had no impact on marijuana use. They are going to use it if they're going to use it. I'm not saying that I would want people walking down the street smoking pot by the school or smoking marijuana. I'm saying for a legalized, compliant industry, if we can discern that from the concern of the moral turpitude and the usage amongst kids, none of us want kids participating in drugs or impeding that. I just want to be very clear with
Glenn, I'm
my
gonna have to-
comments. And one last thing, if I may.
Wrap up soon, please.
I do believe that as a group, we could come together and look at the medicinal aspects that are there and do support that people go to bars, they do imbibe in things that are harmful per se, but if you do it in a compliant manner that benefits the town, I ask that you opt in. So, with
Thank
that,
you, Glenna.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Step right up. We'll need your name and your address, please.
I'm not here to speak about that, but I will say a couple words about it.
If you'd like to speak about it, step right up to the podium.
My name's Dave Malecki. I live at 563 Galbro Circle. I've been here before. Last time I was here was on April 15th this year. You may remember. I was here to talk about the Irondequoit Bay Outlet Bridge.
You can move that mic up. That helps you, sir.
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, there you go. Could we get your name again?
Sure. My name's Dave Malecki.
Thank you.
Malecki, 563 Galbro Circle, Webster, New York. I was here last on April 15th of this year. I was here to talk about the Irondequoit Bay Outlet Bridge. Supervisor at that time said he'd talk to me about it. I haven't heard back from him yet. Okay?
And did you want to speak about the public hearing for the marijuana sale?
Yes, at the end.
Okay.
All right, so the reason why I use the Irondequoit Bay Outlet Bridge is I'm an avid cyclist, okay? And the young lady who talked about the concerns with driving while impaired, I have that. I don't want someone running me off the road. I don't want someone killing me or injuring me. My main complaint about the Bay Bridge the way it is now, the Irondequoit Bay Outlet Bridge, is it's seasonal.
I'm sorry, but I have to stop you because this portion for comments is only on the marijuana sale. But you're welcome to stay and speak more at the open to the floor if you want to talk about the bridge.
Oh, certainly. Is it okay with you if I speak now?
But I'm sorry, I can't do that with a public hearing.
All right, sure.
We want to hear what you have to say, but if you could hold on for a little bit while, we'll open it up to the floor.
Certainly.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak about the sale of opting in or opting out on marijuana? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. As you have probably seen on the agenda, this is not something we're going to be voting on this evening. We want to take into consideration what everyone has said. We are still doing our due diligence on this, and we will be voting on this at a later date. So thank you all for attending. Thanks. Hang on just 1 second. Yep. All right, with the public hearing closed, we will now go to the next item, which is open to the floor. And again, you'll be allowed 5 minutes. Dave, would you like to speak? Thank you for your
Thank you.
patience.
Sorry, I like to follow the rules, and I've got
It's
no
all
problem with that. So I get 5 more minutes, right?
I'm gonna shut that door, okay?
Please. Dave's got it.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah, you remember what I said before?
Yes.
April 15th, haven't heard anything from the supervisor. And I'm a regular reader of his opinion pieces. I do value his opinion, and it does seem that he's also suggesting opting out the way I read it. So if that's not the case, have him correct it. In any case, so I'm an avid cyclist. I cycle a lot. I like to do rides with a local bike club. You know, they start various places around the county, and a number of them don't start in Webster. A number of them start in Irondequoit. It's a real pain to ride over to Irondequoit right now in the summer, because you have to ride south along Empire Boulevard. Not the best cycling road in the world. The alternative, there is none. Not if you want to cycle to Irondequoit. Yeah. And regarding some recent feedback on the Sandbar Park project, I just watched a video recently. I think it might have been one that you posted, judging by what I saw. In any case, a number of people talking about it. Very little discussion about the Irondequoit Bay Outlet Bridge there. And my concern about the project is cycling and getting out to the outlet bridge. Can we get out to the outlet bridge during construction? I hope so. I hope an effort's made to enable that. And from what I've seen so far, the project doesn't really assist in cycling much at all. A little bit, you know, in the park, but that's about it. If anything, it looks like it's going to make it worse to cycle over to Irondequoit. The roads are narrowed. There's a curb. Both those are problems for a cyclist. And as I mentioned twice before, I would like the supervisor to respond about the Irondequoit Bay Outlet Bridge seasonal nature, to see what he thinks about the situation right now. I think that he should be responding not only to me, but to the citizens of Webster regarding the Irondequoit Bay Outlet feasibility study. That's the item I brought up when I was here April 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And the supervisor will be reviewing tonight's meeting, so he'll hear your comments. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Joanne? Yes? Okay.
Joanne Nania, 764 Valley View Parkway. Thank you. I wanted to talk on 2 topics. The Sandbar Project, number 1. I think that Webster has an amazing opportunity to create a real jewel in this town with the Sandbar Project. It is a beautiful design. Anybody who spends any time in Canandaigua at Kershaw Park, this project will rival Kershaw, if not exceed it. I wholeheartedly hope and pray that this project comes to fruition. And I am very concerned about the recent petitioning activities by the Sandbar Monitoring Project. There's a group of folks that are showing up at North Ponds Park and at Flaherty's and at different venues. I think they're going to be at the Christmas event this weekend, trying to collect signatures to force a referendum. I don't begrudge them any of that, but I think that it's short-sighted. And if you look at Canandaigua again as an example of the development and the tourist attraction that Kershaw has become, Webster has that opportunity. Our amazing lake shore, our natural geography is just, you know, a perfect conduit for something like the Sandbar Project. And I think I really want to see it go forward. And I'm hoping that maybe the town is thinking at least about countering some of that petitioning messaging, because as we know, you know, petitioning can be, in some cases, you know, just misleading. If they omit information, or, you know, maybe portray it in a manner that causes people to think that this is a negative thing without really knowing all the specifics. And so I hope that petitioning effort doesn't stand on its own with no perhaps counter by the town or the planners of Sandbar. The other topic I wanted to touch on briefly, I see is withdrawn from the agenda, and that's the resolution on vaccination testing standards from OSHA. I have to say that I agree with the OSHA mandates, I think that residents should have every confidence when they walk into a public facility, a public building, a government building, talk to their local government representative, that everyone is taking the highest standards possible for COVID prevention protocols. Just like you would if you went to downtown, to a city court, or you went into a hospital, or you went into any other public facility, any place that's in position to serve the public, as this town government here is in Webster. I believe that we should not, this shouldn't even be a discussion, frankly. It's just silly to me that in these days of this pandemic and the hundreds of thousands of lives that have been lost, and who knows what the damage has been to Webster. I wonder if we have any statistics at all. How many residents have died? How many hospitalizations have we had? How much productivity has been lost due to COVID here in our town, our immediate impact? It seems like wearing a mask is the simplest thing that we can do to keep each other safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And is there anyone else who would like to speak? None? All right, we'll close the public, the open to the floor. Thank you all for participating. We appreciate you being here. The next item is a set of minutes to be considered for approval. Did everyone have a chance to review those?
Yep. Yes.
I would move that we approve the minutes of November 18th as submitted by the town clerk.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Thank you. And consideration to approve the bills. I know that Councilman Cahill was reviewing those this week.
I was,
Yes, you were.
and I found them all in orders. I would move that we pay the bills as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye. We've all had a chance to look over the purchase orders, and I would move that we approve the prepaid warrants as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
The next item is a resolution to refund. We're just straightening up these different water districts that came to our attention a few weeks ago. So I will read the first one at a regular meeting of the Webster Town Board on December 2nd at 7:30 p.m. I made the motion to refund $828.93 to the owner of 747 Herman Road, Webster, New York, tax ID number 064.01-2-12 for 2020 and 2021 overpayments to Clem Road Water District Extension 6.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
The next resolution is much the same. I would move at a regular meeting of the town board on December 2nd, I would move that we refund $1,027.94 to the owner of 748 Herman Road, Webster, tax ID number 064.01-1.14-14.1 for 2020 and 2021 overpayments to the Clem Road Water District Extension number 6.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Our next item is one that is being tabled to a future date. I'm not sure we have that date. It was a resolution to accept Penfield Sewer Bypass IMA terms and authorize the supervisor to sign that IMA. The terms of that IMA have not been finalized at this point. Our next item is a resolution. I make the motion to table that.
Second.
Thank you.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Our next is a resolution to allow a property at 1308 New Brand Road with parcel ID number 065.18-1-15 to hook up to the Village of Webster Sewer as an out-of-district town user.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Thank you. Our next resolution is also being tabled, so I would move that we table this. It is a resolution to advertise and solicit requests for proposals for an energy performance contract in accordance with New York State Energy Law, Article 9, for the wastewater treatment plant Phase 2 project, capital project H0231, and said advertisement to be published in the Webster Herald. I would move that we table this to the December 9th workshop.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is also actually being withdrawn. And we heard one of our speakers talk about it tonight. This was the resolution to adopt a vaccination, testing, and face covering policies for purposes of complying with OSHA ETS, and we are withdrawing that. I have a few things that I'd like to say about it. I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in. But I want to thank Brayton Connard for his diligent work on investigating this matter. He's our Human Resource Director. As such, it is his job to make us aware of these mandates. I want to personally apologize to our employees for the anxiety and stress that this has caused. I want them to know that we value each and every one of them, and we do not want to lose not a single employee over this. The emergency order from OSHA is being challenged in federal courts at this time, and like most emergency orders, it's not always well thought out, especially considering the ramifications on those who are mandated to enforce it, and more importantly, its impact on our employees. And we're going to continue to monitor what's going on in the courts with this emergency order, and we will move forward if the stay is lifted. Does anybody else want to comment?
Like we did before, we'll follow any policies that come down with regard to face coverings and testing.
Absolutely.
We want to protect our employees. We want to protect any individuals to come in and speak to anyone at the town. And we will be diligent in our efforts to protect those individuals.
Thank you. The next is a resolution to adopt the Monroe County Parks Department intermunicipal agreement for Webster Highway Department work, and we have our Superintendent of Highways here. Do you want to speak to this?
Sure, I can explain a little bit so you guys understand what that is. So we were contacted recently by Monroe County Parks Department about this agreement that they were putting out. They recently found out that they were no longer going to be able to utilize the existing Monroe County Department of Transportation intermunicipal agreement to do the maintenance work within their parks. And from what I understand, from speaking with their representative, they have a great deal of maintenance work that they like to perform in this upcoming year. So they developed their own intermunicipal agreement to complete that work under, but it will function very much the same way as our existing contract with the Monroe County DOT does, where we perform the work and they compensate us for it. They did indicate that they have several projects here in Webster Park that they want to do for maintenance, whether it be paving parking lots or restoring roads. So we're excited to be able to talk with them about that. Hopefully get some work on the books and generate some additional revenue from these efforts and improve the facilities that exist within our town. So.
Good. Thank you, Pat. So I will make the resolution. Whereas the County of Monroe owns, operates, and maintains parks in towns and villages of the county, and whereas 2021 Monroe County Shared Services Plan adopted pursuant to General Municipal Law 239-BB, included sharing resources between municipalities and/or jointly procure contracts to provide programming, facilities, and administration of parks and recreation across municipal boundaries. Whereas pursuant Resolution 196 of 2021, Monroe County Legislature authorized intermunicipal agreements for shared recreation programs and park services within towns and villages of the county, which included the town of Webster for the term up to 5 years with the option to renew up to 3 additional one-year terms. Whereas county and town are authorized to share such services pursuant to General Municipal Law, Article 5G, and whereas county and town have appropriate equipment and personnel to provide the services set forth in the intermunicipal agreement, therefore let it be resolved. The Webster Town Board agrees to the terms of an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Monroe for shared recreation programs and park services. And I authorize the town supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Monroe.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
The next is a resolution to set a public hearing on December 16th, 2021, to enact a local law adopting a Cold War veterans exemption to be published in the Webster Herald on December 8th, 2021.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, the next two involve resolutions to accept donations of land. This is a wonderful thing. I think you shared with me that we've not actually done actual resolutions on this in the past.
I don't recall doing it, but it's a good thing to do.
It is, and it's always a wonderful thing when people want to donate land to us for open space. So the first donation of land is 5.57 acres, and I will read that resolution at a regular meeting of the Webster Town Board on December 2nd. The Town of Webster has the authority under the New York State Constitution and Article 4 of the Town Law to acquire property in any manner provided by law. And whereas Gail Binder is the owner of property of Gulfview Heights in the Town of Webster, tax ID number 051.03-1-59, which property is 5.57 acres of vacant land and abuts Kent Park. The owner wishes to donate said land for public purpose and/or public purposes. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Webster is willing to accept said donation of land on behalf of the government and the residents of the Town of Webster, the Town of Webster will accept ownership as is of 5.57 acres of vacant land in what is known as Gulfview Heights, formerly Basket Road Re-subdivision, LR4, for any purposes it sees fit. That the Town Board hereby determines that the proposed action is designated as a Type 2 under seeker and will not have a significant effect on the environment. Involves official acts of ministerial nature involving no exercise of discretion and routine or continuing agency administration and management, and may involve acquisition and dedication of less than 25 acres of land for parkland, and therefore does not require the preparation of an environmental impact study, and therefore no further review under the New York Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, is necessary. And that is my motion.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
And we certainly want to thank Ms. Binder for the donation of that property. The next is a little bit different, but it's the same end. It's a resolution to accept a donation of money for the purchase of land, 5.08 acres in the town. At a regular meeting of the Webster Town Board, December 2nd, the Town of Webster has the authority under the New York State Constitution and Article 4 of the Town Law to acquire property and/or accept funds in any matter provided by the law and for any purpose provided by law. Whereas Barry Barone is the owner of 688 Hembrook Hollow in the Town of Webster, tax ID number 064.01-2-99, which property is 5.08 acres of residential vacant land in Dunbridge Estates subdivision Phase 3. Whereas Mary Dumbovi wishes to donate monies to the Town of Webster to pay for the purchase of said parcel, including all pertinent costs thereof, including all recording and seller's attorney's fees. And whereas said owner is willing to convey said land to the Town of Webster for public purpose and/or public purposes, the Town Board of the Town of Webster is willing to accept said donation of funds on behalf of the government and the residents of the Town of Webster for the specific purpose of purchasing the aforesaid 5.08 acres of residential vacant land in Dunbridge Estates, subdivision Phase 3, designated by tax ID number 064.01-2-99. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Webster will accept funds for the specific purpose of purchasing as is of 5.08 acres of residential vacant land in Dunbridge Estates, subdivision Phase 3, for any purpose it sees fit, and will in fact use said funds for said purchase and appurtenant fees and costs. Town Board hereby determines that the proposed action is a Type 2 under seeker and does not require preparation of an environmental impact statement. Therefore, no further review under the New York State Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, is necessary. And that is my motion.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
And once again, I want to thank Mary Dombovi for stepping up and offering to purchase this property to be used for an enjoyment of public space, and also to Barry Barone for working that out with her. I just think these are two examples of, shining examples of people looking to preserve open space and stepping up to the plate to do that. I want to thank them both. The next resolution is to a tax certiorari settlement. Do you want to speak to that?
Certainly, Supervisor. The matter that we're speaking about is entitled COR, C-O-R Holt Road Company, LLC versus Town of Webster. It is a tax certiorari matter, which means the assessment is being challenged for the purpose of lowering taxes. The school district is also a party by intervention, and this is a matter that involves property at the town center. It's the building furthest to the west where Paychex used to be. And we've been in discussion sometime regarding this. Both sides have conducted appraisals. In other words, we've hired experts to appraise the properties, and taking into consideration the fact that this property was at one time fully, as close to fully occupied as possible, and is now mostly vacant, we have considered that as not a good thing to continue proceeding in litigating the matter, and have come to a settlement agreement with the petitioners and the petitioner's attorney. Therefore, I've written a memo to the town board. It's confidential, but I've laid everything out and am explaining right now to the public why we are settling the case. The amount of the tax refund, which will be attained as a result of this settlement, is for 1 year and 1 year only. It is $13,198.83. The settlement does not continue with a lowered assessment in the event of a revaluation. If that happens, then the revaluation will supplant the agreed upon amounts in the settlement. So if the if the town board agrees and the school district agrees, this matter will be resolved, and a request to the county will go to pay this refund. I don't know if there's any questions. I'll be glad to answer.
No, you've done a lot of work on this, Charlie, and been very insightful and very informative. And if it had gone to court, the exposure from a financial standpoint would have been very, very significant. So I think that this is a very rational decision that the board's making on the benefit of the taxpayers of the town of Webster.
Thank you. So I would move that we approve a settlement of a tax certiorari for COR Ridge Road Company, LLC, in the amount of $13,198.83.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
And our last item on tonight's agenda is a resolution to schedule another public hearing on December 16th to enact a local law regarding the placement and regulation of marijuana commercial retail sales in the town of Webster. That's my motion.
Second.
Deputy Supervisor Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Thank you. It is 8:27, I want that to be noted so that the supervisor is aware of the length of this meeting tonight. Bill,
Well
how's your
done.
water?
Well done.
Bill's still got some water.
Yes, I do.
Mary, do you have anything that you'd like to discuss tonight?
Well, it's still really busy, even though it's getting colder. We did have a subdivision get one more road in this year, so they had some good weather this week that we were able to work with them with. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the snow, so things slow down.
Thank you. Paul?
Nothing to report on my end, everything's good.
Wonderful. And now I'm going to go to the opposite probably of what Mary said. Pat Stevens, would you like to talk about anything? I'm sure you're not looking forward to the snow.
That's exactly the opposite. We are preparing for the snow, and not so that things can slow down. It'll pick up. But on other fronts, leaf pickup next week will be the last week. We didn't know if we were going to make it through this week with snow coming in and whatnot, but looking at the forecast, and the amount of leaves still on the trees, we're going to go one more week. But
Okay.
next week will be the last week. So getting the leaves out to the roadside this weekend is critical for pickup. After that, you may have to seek alternate ways to dispose of your leaves if you want to. We won't be able to continue after that. We'll need to get the truck set up for snow removal, which is coming soon, and there's a bit of setup with that, with getting salters and plows on all the trucks and everything outfitted to maintain the roads the way we need to. So those are the two big pushes right now. Other than that, things are going well.
Good, thank you.
Are you going to be able to get salt this year? You going to have any problems, you think, as far as?
We already have it.
That's great.
Yeah, so we always fill the shed, which is why it's important to have a sizable salt barn like we do. I believe there's between 3,000 and 4,000 tons in there now. You shouldn't need to supplement that a lot unless there's a really heavy snow season. That's going to carry us through the majority of it. We try to purchase that earlier in the season. Also because we do pre-treat our salt to lengthen the life of it. There's a treatment fluid that goes on it to allow it to act faster in certain conditions and us to be able to use it efficiently instead of having to go heavy with it. So we treat that ahead of time as well. That's all been done for the season by the staff.
Excellent.
So,
Thanks, Pat.
yeah.
Thank you. Councilman Abbott?
No, the highway guys have been just busting their butts to get these leaves picked up. And I hope the town residents appreciate all the hard work that they put in to do it, because it's an ungodly job, and we do it because we try to help the residents.
I think our residents are very appreciative of our highway department from what I see in postings on Facebook, on my Facebook feed, so well deserved, by the way, Pat.
Yeah, a lot of positive feedback, and they deserve the credit. They are out there. We've been working, it's daylight to dark. It's overtime, usually a couple hours a day this year to try to keep up and not have large piles on people's lawns for a long period of time. We work both Saturdays and Sundays, sign-up sheets and different stuff like that. So, no, the guys have absolutely hit it very, very hard. And I think the amount we've been able to pick up reflects that we're also showing a sizable amount collected and all that type of things. But I appreciate you saying that, and I can't say it enough. I try to say it to them. You never can say it to them enough. They have been absolutely fierce out there with the effort they put out.
And I think, as you've said too, this is late year for leaf falling.
Yeah, the time period when we did this big push varies a lot from year to year. The foreman I have are very lucky to have a lot of experience with it, but this year was later by at least 2 or 3 weeks. The other reason that we've pushed the daily effort up so high, as many days as physically possible.
I've been impressed.
In the short period of time.
They've been in my neighborhood on weekends, so
Yeah.
I've been impressed with that.
Yeah, and they're all happy to do it too. That's a really amazing part, great part for me to see is, you put out a sign-up sheet to kind of see if there's any interest in the overtime and whatnot, and it fills right up. The guys really do care about the community they live in and want this level of service to remain high, and they're, in my opinion, achieving that this year with this, and couldn't be happier. So.
Thank you. Attorney Genesi?
I guess the only thing I would underscore is the amount of time and effort that was put in by Brayton Conard on the ETS that came out from OSHA. And I just want to let the residents and the employees know there's a lot of serious issues with what was done by the federal government here. some people would call it federal or governmental overreach. I would look at it as an attorney and say there's serious constitutional issues here. So I think we spent a lot of time. We spent time in workshops. We spent time at town hall. I was involved in a lot of the discussions as to how to implement it. And I think the holding off on it right now is very prudent from a legal standpoint. I think there's a lot of issues here that have to be resolved. So.
I agree wholeheartedly. Charlie, you put it quite succinctly.
Thank you. The only other thing I have to add is I want to remind everyone that there's a really wonderful event this Saturday in the village. It's White Christmas in the Village. It starts early in the afternoon. It's a good opportunity to get out and explore some of the shops and support our small businesses, those hometown businesses, and get out and shop. There's going to be Santa's in the Veterans Park, so Santa will be there, I believe. And then the holiday parade is happening again this year. It's the first time, and last year we had to reverse it and do it in a different way, but this year it's back on, so it's a great holiday parade of lights. Everyone come on out, see your neighbors, see your friends, and shop local, and have a good time this Saturday. And I don't have anything else, so I will...
Wait, forget about me?
I thought you spoke. Councilman Cahill, do you have
Thank
anything
you.
to add?
I absolutely do.
Sorry.
So I just wanted to thank Mary and Pat for the issue that you guys were working on. And I have to tell you, it's enlightening, and it makes me very, very happy to see the cooperation that these two department heads have in working on issues. The teamwork is phenomenal, and I just want to say I appreciate it.
Thank you. I would think that all of our department heads are actually working as a team, and it's really a great effort, and we all benefit from that. So thanks. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't.
That's
mean to
okay. I'll get over it. Pat.
Overlook. Well, I hope so. With that, I will call the meeting to an end.
Good job.